You can join us in executive. But we could do it again. Okay, okay, each camera's ready. Okay, good evening. My name is Amy Ritterbush, and I call the meeting to order. This is the meeting for the Hopkinton Select Board for May 9th, 2023. This meeting is being held in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. All 4 members participating in the meeting are present in the meeting room. Our 5th member may be joining us by Zoom, but is not here yet. The public has the option of attending in person here at Town Hall or via Zoom using the link posted in this meeting's agenda. This meeting is being recorded. So our first item on the agenda is to move into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel, the town manager, and to approve executive session minutes, and to allow Norman Khumalo and Elaine Lazarus to participate in the executive session, and to reconvene an open session at the conclusion of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, so we will be back in about a half an hour. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Ritterbusch, and I'm calling the open session of the Select Board meeting to order for Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. The first item in our open session is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise if able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the public forum. Please note that each person will have up to 2 minutes to speak at public forum. Please start by stating your name and address, and we will go to people in the room first and then people on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand so that we know you're waiting. And then I will use a timer. When you hear the timer go off, you need to wrap up your comment. Okay, would anyone in the room like to speak at public comment tonight? Okay, this is perfect. Do I sit here?
To the respected Select Board members, the town manager, the assistant town manager, the town clerk, and the citizens of Hopkinton, I am Dr. Radhika Dixit. And as a concerned citizen who lives in very close proximity to the LNG gas tanks, especially after the report that was published on April 23rd in Hop News, we have done our research, but we would like to request a special meeting just to talk about this topic so that, we want to understand, we want to express our concerns, but also if there's a way for us to understand what the town has been doing, that would also be extremely helpful. The main issue that I would like to bring forth right now is, as we all know, the tanks were built to last only for 40 years, and 2 of the tanks have surpassed at least 52 years of age, and one of them is 49 years of age. So as everything fails at some point, this is bound to happen, and we will have a major catastrophe on hand. So, I think it is extremely, I think it's a good idea for all of us to work together, and, and obviously we need our town folks' support as well, and not just the folks who live close to the LNG gas tanks, because these tanks hold 3 billion cubic feet of LNG. It's not just our town, but many other communities at large. So I think holding a public, a special meeting just to discuss about this topic would be a great idea, as a starting step for us to express our concerns, because when we bought the homes there, we were not even aware of this particular situation. And of course, we would need the support of the town members, maybe to walk, through the facilities, and with the support of the town select board members. Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to comment on that, that I believe the town manager is reaching out to get some more background information, and then which he will try to get to your group, and then we will try to schedule some kind of event forum. Is that correct?
That is correct. In fact, we met yesterday. It was nice meeting you, and yes, we are compiling information that we will share with your team. My understanding is that you are looking forward to some forum, as you've expressed, where you can share your concerns and at the same time learn more about the LNG facility in Hopkinton and Wilson Street.
Yes, we have a few more members to just talk about different aspects, if that is okay.
That's fine, yep. Okay, so would anyone else like to speak at public comment? Okay.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Dr. Siva Gauri Shankar, and respected select board members, town manager, and assistant town manager. Thank you for the opportunity. I live in the 10 Redwood Path, Hopkinton, and for me, the ask is the same for requesting a special meeting, and I'm coming personally from the angle of the fire safety. So having such a big facility close by, and having just 2 drills in the past 2 decades is not is something that's not acceptable from my personal point of view, and I think we need to have more of it. And maybe and other mitigation systems that has been put in place, if the fire department or some other authoritative board is in charge of it, to have active surveillance of it, and then so that if something goes wrong, they are informed actively, as opposed to having it with the third party, would be something that would be beneficial from my perspective, from my personal point of view. I think those are the two concerns with respect to the fire safety that I want to bring to this table. With such a big facility, I think it's important for us to just keep an active handle on things and involve the fire safety. Thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to the special meeting where we can discuss more about. I know a lot of work has been done in the past, and we'll also do more research, but looking forward to that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is Aslesha. I'm from Hopkinton Legacy Farms as well. So I just wanted to add a bit more to what they have said earlier. I just wanted to speak about the air quality that we are facing with respect to that plant nearby. Now that we are in close proximity to the plant, and then I'm a mom of 2 kids. And then, I am very much concerned about the air quality that's in there. I have went into the online resourcing to see what the Eversource permit is, and it seems like the permit has expired in 2017. And we do not know if there is a new permit or if there are, resources that are planning to test the air quality and stuff. So this is an additional request, again, for the special meeting to discuss more about this air quality. I know many of the people staying over there have children, have elderly people around, so this is a very big concern to the environment and also the people around. So thank you, everyone. We look forward to work with you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. And Norman, you have that down, the air quality. I hadn't seen that in the documents, but we can look that up if we know.
My understanding is I was presented with information yesterday that the permit issued by DEP expired in 2017. I have to review that.
We'll have to look it up. Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Vinil Gujar. I'm a resident at 23 Walnut Way in Legacy Farms. Continuing what my friend said, I want to talk about the dikes. I believe the dikes are not up to speed with the federal regulations. I understand federal regulations require each of those tanks to have their own concrete barrier to contain any accidental spillage. But I think right now the HOPCO facility has like a single concrete barrier all around 3 tanks. And then often those dikes fill up with water. I think they don't have adequate facility to pump out the water. If the walls fill up with water, then it's not going to serve their purpose. So I would also like to request for a special meeting to discuss this issue in more detail.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yeah.
Good evening, select all board members. Thank you for having us. Vijay Kesavan from 38 Aspen Way. Like my fellow neighbors shared their concern, we are requesting a special town meeting to address the LNG maintenance and risks. My concern primarily is security. If you have driven across or walked on Wilson Street, there are 2 pipes that are visible in clear sight and plain sight. There are no concrete barriers, or there's no concrete wall or fence. And anybody with any simple device could cause a big harm. And it is not just the 2,000 people who are living in the Legacy Farms community, but there are more people in the town, and also downstream effects will be very, very big. So if we can get a special town meeting with all the key participants, including Eversource, that would be a great learning session for us, mitigate our own fears and risks, as well as plan for future to avoid these catastrophes much in advance. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, sorry, through the chair, thank you so much. You are mentioning a special town meeting.
I was going to say
We
that.
discussed this yesterday. If you are referring to the forum that we discussed, yes, we can offer that. But if you're asking for a special town meeting, there's a totally different process for that.
There's something in our bylaws called a special town meeting, and there's just very specific process to have one that's complicated, but we can do a regular meeting. Regular meeting.
Special meeting about a
Just a
town.
public forum would suffice, but I mean, just cater to this topic, I guess.
Yeah.
So that they have enough time to, to present our case, because we have already, connected with Eversource, with Roy Metal, with the Department of Utilities and so on and so forth. We have done, what we know might be just a fraction of what the town has done, as I have understood. So I think it is very important for us to understand what the town is doing and what we can all do.
Okay, sorry, that was the last one, but okay. All right, is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak tonight? Okay.
Dale Danahy, 25 East Main Street. I come for a totally different reason. I'm here tonight to voice my concern about the downtown project, and because it doesn't seem like anybody is looking out for the citizens of Hopkinton or anybody that commutes through downtown. Since I can't find a clerk of the works, I'm bringing my concerns to the board. On Friday, May 5th, when the contractor finished work, there were 7 areas approximately 4 feet by 4 feet from Ray Street to Hayden Row Street that were left open with a gravel top. As cars or trucks drove over these gravel areas, the rocks were dislodged and they were sent along. Yeah, I left them in the car. The rocks that were dislodged were sent along both sides of the road, the sidewalk, or against oncoming vehicles. Hey, thanks. Tough to get old. If a vehicle, we're grateful. If a vehicle had to come to a quick stop, that would be impossible with so much gravel. And if a motorcycle happened along this stretch, it would be dangerous as well. Not to mention impossible to ride a bike, push a stroller or a wheelchair, or safely walk without being pelted with rocks. Over the weekend, the police were dispatched from worried drivers that called about this area, but nothing was done, and it remains open tonight. If this work was being done by a utility contractor, they would be made to hot top each area and jackhammer them up the next day and repeat that process until the project was completed. So why doesn't this method apply to our contractors? On May 1st, Mass DOT felt the need to rip up in front of Town Hall and close the entrance down completely, even though that's a day that many residents come in person to pay their real estate taxes. When I complained, it wasn't on the Main Street Corridor Construction Advisory website that I subscribe to each week to get my information. I was told I also needed to go to the town website each day to get the updated version of the work being done by Mass DOT, because they make updates at night to their work schedule and we have no say in their scheduling. Well, that doesn't seem convenient at all to the residents.
Thank you. So we'll try to get some more information, and in the next, maybe in the next
I actually
packet.
have pictures, but
Okay.
you can see all the mess yourself as you drove in. This is a picture of the sign that appears on Grove Street that says, "No right turn at the light, use Maple Ave." I hate to tell you about Maple Ave is on the other side of town.
I know, that's on my corner. It's wrong.
Isn't that wonderful? It still is there. If you look at all the new light fixtures that are up, every single one of them have peeled, where they're all bubbling, every single one of them. So this substandard, construction material is pathetic. The one in front of the fire station that isn't in use yet is totally peeled across the front. You can see there's a perfect picture of, go look downtown, every single one of them. That's a picture of the rocks, but you could see that as you drove into town yourself. But if that's the standard we have, we can't do better than that.
It was like that last year as well, unfortunately. But thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can look into that for the next update.
You're welcome.
If I may, we don't normally do this, but I have to. On the peeling,
Yes.
we've formally submitted our complaint. It's going to be addressed.
Okay.
And then in terms of that sign, I did ask Nicole to reach out to you last week.
Yeah, when reached back to her. She was out of the office till today.
Okay.
Okay. There's one person on Zoom with their hand raised. Is there anyone else in the room before I go to Zoom?
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Jane Moran, 70 East Main Street, Chair of the Upper Charles Trail, and I'm speaking as a private citizen. I'd like to make a few points in regard to what I heard at the town meeting. Repeatedly, I heard that folks do not want a trail to go down Hayden Row, and yet that was not the purpose of Article 47. Back in February, this committee voted to put a hold on Hayden Row approach because of citizens' concerns. Further, the TCMC stated they would engineer the western alternative, and our committee fully supports this effort. And especially knowing now that the town will be looking into roadway improvements for that corridor for a new school. The other concern was that the attendees want a different leadership for the Upper Charles Trail Committee. Our town charter mandates this, and yearly this is done. The feedback was heard, and we plan to have at our next meeting elections for officers for this committee. Finally, I would encourage the Select Board to consider the significant investment that this town has made over the past decade. If this committee is disbanded, the town's investment and all of the institutional knowledge that collectively this committee brings to the conversation will be lost. Our suggestion for a word change to the charge could be considered something as simple as the Select Board require quarterly updates, thereby offering the board an opportunity to monitor the work on a regular basis. It is important to debrief after the town meeting, such as we just came through, and I'd like to thank you for listening and considering my comments.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, and so then there are two people on Zoom, so I will, do you have something? It would be helpful, for just a second, it would be helpful for me to know about how many more people want to speak. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more people? Okay, and then there are 2 also waiting on Zoom, so, okay, so go ahead.
My name is Eric Sonnet. I live at 60 Teresa Road. I am speaking as a citizen, a private citizen, but I also hold the position of Vice Chairman of the Upper Charles Trails Committee. I want to speak today because I have experience being on committees. I started my volunteer career in Hopkinton in 1998, and between elected positions on your committee, for example, 2 different terms, and I served as chair of the selectmen at the time 3 times. So I have some idea of what you grapple with every week. I also served on a total of 17 committees, either elected or appointed, over that period, that 25-year period. I'm here tonight to say to you that my 10 years on the Upper Charles Trails Committee have been well-structured. We work very closely with the town engineer, with the town manager, with the assistant town manager, and we work to a script. We have detailed ways of approaching the things we do. For example, we don't negotiate land purchases. The town manager does. We identify potential ways to get things accomplished. For example, we have divided the potential trail into segments, and we work on each segment, primarily providing an engineer's opinion of how to do it. I just want to say that from my perspective to you, I have never served on a committee that has been, one, more challenged because of the project, but two, more dedicated to it than the group that I served with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Eli Post. I live at 185 Hayden Row. I'm a member of the Upper Charles Committee, but speaking here as a private resident of Hopkinton. I'm also a recreational cyclist and a former president of the Charles River Wheelers, the largest bike club in New England. There are many issues presented by the committee's plan, as well as the plan put forth by the Trail Club. My time here is limited, and I can't address all the issues, and I want to confine myself to one, the proposed bridge across Hayden Row, which is a key feature of the Trails Club alternate plan. A bridge is necessary at that location as the curve and grade of the road don't provide for adequate sight distance, and crossing at grade would be treacherous. There are many issues with respect to the bridge, and I believe that serious consideration would be a folly. First, the bridge is sited entirely in Milford, and that town has not been contacted to determine whether they will accept the operation and care of the bridge. Route 85 is a state road, and the bridge must meet the state's engineering requirements. To my knowledge, such work has not been undertaken. The bridge also has a very sizable footprint, and I'm not convinced that the required land area is available. And finally, a massive bridge over Hayden Row would be an eyesore, in my opinion, and not compatible with the current residential character. One of the safety criticisms is the crossing of Hayden Row, and without the bridge, the alternate plan will have to cross it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Scott Naus, 175 Hayden Row, 147. It has another purpose. I came here to clarify. I voted yes on Article 47, and I wanted to clarify why. I think the fact that it's on the Select Board agenda tonight underscores why I voted for Article 47, which is the abolishment of the UCTC. I didn't necessarily vote yes because I thought the TCMC solution was the right solution. I believe that the feedback from the public about the Hayden Row has muddied the waters. I believe that is a symptom, not the cause. I think the cause is rooted in habits formed over time with the way the committee has been operating. I believe that, and to Eric Sonnet's point, the committee is dedicated and they're working hard and trying to fight the good fight. The habits that have formed over time are rooted, and I think they're categorized as challenges with process and prioritization and focus and communication. I voted yes in part because the TCMC has demonstrated some process and a penchant for communicating with the public. But is that the right answer? Not necessarily. If the Select Board were to recommend and take action on a more radical, I guess the only word that comes to mind is more radical improvement to the way the Upper Charles Trail Committee was operating, and the UCTC stayed as the UCC, I'd support that. I think the challenge that you face is to try to separate the cause from the symptom. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. Jim Sorello, 35 Wood Street. I am a member of the Upper Charles Trail Committee. I'm also a member of the Conservation Commission. I am the liaison to the Upper Charles Trail Committee. I'm speaking as a private citizen. I don't want to speak to any of the technical things that these folks have been talking about. I just want to say, when the Upper Charles Trail Committee was established by the Board of Selectmen at the time, there was very specific reasons to do that and a very specific purpose and goal for the Upper Charles Trail Committee. When the Trail Coordination and Management Committee was established by the Select Board, they had a very specific goals and purpose of what they're meant to do. The Upper Charles Trail has been charged with connecting the Milford Upper Charles Trail to Ashland, where at some point Ashland would have an Upper Charles Trail. It's a completely different purpose and goal than the TCMC has, in that the TCMC, I believe, was enabled to manage trails in town, improve trails in town, and maintain trails in town that are not maintained by HALT or Open Space or any other group. The Upper Charles Trail is a completely different animal than the other trail networks in town. And frankly, I think that it's the Upper Charles Trail Committee has been doing what it needs to do to move this along, given the limitations. I don't think that anybody else, any other committee, could be doing the same work, and I know you have a lot to consider, but I think this dissolving the committee that's focused on that one very specific thing. And by the way, obviously someday when the Upper Charles Trail is built, it would perhaps fall to the Trail Coordination Management Committee to manage that trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Good evening. I'm Steve Frobeater. I reside at 39 Sanctuary Lane here in Hopkinton. I wanted to comment on the aftermath of Article 47 being passed at last week's town meeting. You were all in attendance last Tuesday and heard the passionate arguments from both sides. At the chair's suggestion, as recently posted in social media, I don't intend to recount the themes of the debate on the town meeting floor, and we've asked our supporters of the citizens' petition to respect your wishes and not take the board's time tonight to relitigate the case. Suffice it to say, 158 to 61 is certainly a strongly worded advisory to the five of you that the townspeople want to change and stayed very late last Tuesday to express their feelings to you. It wasn't all about Segment 7 either. That action was even more lopsided. No, this was a call for a new start. We're looking to you to take that start, and we're standing by to assist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that was the last one in the room. So I think Jamie Ronka had her hand up first on the Zoom, if we could liven her up.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. You can go ahead.
Great, thank you so much. I live at 6 Blackthorn Circle. I am an alternate member volunteer of the Charles Trail Committee, and I am speaking as a private citizen. I sent an email earlier today to the Select Board with specifics around my concerns. I did vote along with the 72% of annual town meeting voters last week in support of Articles 47 and 48. I understand that the logistics of how we move forward in a different way is complicated, and I appreciate that you're taking the time to consider that and how to guide the town forward. I have concerns about the charges that are not being met. While I have been on the committee, I'm concerned that we are not investigating 2 or 3 route options. I'm concerned that we have not been gathering input from Hopkinton residents, as many as possible, per charge number 6. I'm concerned about the Upper Charles' lack of transparency and efficiency in its current state. I am heartened to hear that there would be a new election for chair and vice chair. However, as an alternate member, even though there have never been every voting member present in a meeting since I've joined, I have never had a vote, and I'm concerned that we, with an election, would not be able to change course significantly enough to follow the will of the voters. I'm in support of dissolving the current Upper Charles, moving in a new direction that better suits the town's desires and wishes. Thank you so much for your time and consideration to this difficult matter. I do appreciate that. And I acknowledge that my colleagues on the committee have been working hard at this. I hope that any institutional knowledge would be easily retrieved through the Upper Charles Trail Committee Chair email address, and that there wouldn't be any issues with transfer of knowledge if it's not available there. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, perfect, 2 minutes. Okay, the second person with their hand up was Chakradhar. If we could liven them up.
Hi, Select Board. This is Chakradhar. I live in 62 Primrose Circle. Sorry.
Go ahead. I said sorry.
Okay. So one of the point that actually was I wanted to talk about is about the report that came out in Apple News about the LNG gas tanks. So key aspect that struck me was about the tank's lifespan, and 2 of which have gone beyond lifespan, and that was concerning for me. And of course, there are a few other points which my friends and fellow neighbors have covered. So, wanted to request for a public forum meeting to understand and see how our questions can be addressed from Eversource. That's the first part. And a second part is the recent drill that happened on May 4th. Would like to understand by when the report would be coming out from the fire chief, and if that will be available for the town residents to view.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the time and listening to the concerns from our side.
Yeah, I believe the fire chief will be here a little bit later, and we'll go over briefly the drill. So that's a little bit later on the agenda. Okay, and the last person with their hand up was Ken Parker.
Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
This is Ken Parker, 69 Clinton Street, present member of the Upper Charles Trail Committee. My reason for voting in favor of changing the composition of the committee mostly had to do with the whole charge that the committee has been placed with, which was to make a trail that was continuous between Hopkins State Park and Milford parking lot. Now, I'm in favor of that. However, I think we have run up the roadblocks, and I'm thinking that perhaps now is a good time to consider changing the charge to something that might be more readily accomplished, namely building some of the sections of the trail in such a way that would promote connectivity for many of the multi-users of the trail, but perhaps not everybody. So I know that's not really exactly what the questions are, but that was the reason that I voted the way I did. So the current Upper Charles Trail Committee has done a good job of organizing all these engineering reports. And if I really believe that if I really believe the trail is going to get built, maybe I'd be happy with it. But the problem is I'm not sure that it is really going to get built in the way envisioned by the engineering reports because of our issues with people not wanting it to go down the street, which I don't really want it to do, and private property in the way. So I think it might be more sensible to consider changing the charter to be more similar to the actual trails that have been built. For example, the Stone Dust Trails, the Echo Trail, or the Center Trail, and the Hughes Farm Trail, and maybe be more explicit that that is the kind of trail that could be acceptable for this committee to pursue. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so we are done with public comment for tonight. Sorry, I know you did tell me that.
That's okay.
One more.
Okay. Muriel Kramer, and I just want to, I am changing topics here, and I just want to give people a chance to understand that I'm going to be speaking about in reference to a sensitive topic. So if you wanted to leave the room or you wanted to leave the TV, this would be the time. I just want to make sure that we address and we speak openly about the shock and the despair we're feeling as a community about the reports and the events of the day and the charges that are being brought against a former deputy police chief. And I want to state clearly for myself, but I know I say for other people, everybody, hopefully, that we stand with survivors of sexual violence. We honor your testimony and your courage. We believe you. We commit to facing hard truths and having difficult but necessary conversations. And we want the community to help us, to hold each other accountable. Please stay in communication and help us know what you need from us as we work to get through this together. So I just want to finish by saying, if you are struggling with this or any subject like this, we have resources in town. We encourage you to reach out. If you don't know where to go, we will help you find out where to go to get support. And we will steadfastly, it's hard for all of us, it's going to be hard for all of us, but we will steadfastly work together to try and address this as transparently, as honestly, as forthrightly, and as fully as we need to. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. That's very well said. Okay, so we're done with public forum now, and we're going to move on to the consent agenda. So the Select Board will consider the following consent agenda. The Select Board would consider approving the minutes of April 11th, April 25th, and May 1st. The Select Board will consider accepting a gift of $3,600 from the Hopkinton Library Foundation to the Hopkinton Public Library to be used for monthly music and movement children's series. The Select Board will consider accepting a backpack child carrier to the Library of Things at the Hopkinton Public Library from the Hopkinton Trails Club. The Select Board will consider accepting the resignation of Priya Vasudevan from the Sustainable Green Committee. Would anyone like to make that motion or call any items out for discussion?
Second.
Okay. Okay, and we will do a roll call vote since some of us are remote.
I don't want to pull anything out, but I just want to thank the gifts from the Trails Club for the backpack and for the time that Priya has already given to Sustainable Green Committee, as well as the donation of $3,600.
Agreed.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
The backpack that they're giving to us is
it's right there in the
over
back of the
there.
hallway?
Could somebody lift it up and bring it before the camera so people can see what it is we're talking about?
And can I just say, it's my personal favorite baby item. I give it to every one of my kids when they have their first baby, something just like this.
Yeah, that's pretty fancy.
Cool.
Awesome. Oh, you should have one.
I should have one.
Cyrus would love it.
Yeah, you need one. Or you can borrow it and see if
That's
you like
amazing.
it. There you go.
Could I make a minute statement?
Okay, 1 minute.
So I'm Steve Frobeater again. I'm the co-chair of the Hopkinton Trails Club, and I'm here tonight along with Media Director John Ritz and several other Trails Club members to present this gift to the town to the benefit of the library for their Library of Things. And our hope is simply that citizens of town will check this out and go use it as a trial run. These things are not inexpensive.
No.
And rather than make the big purchase and then find out that you didn't like it or your kid didn't like it, we've got one. The library will have one. With me tonight is Nancy Hill to receive the gift after you accept it. Okay. And then we'd ask for just a shot so that we can put it on the library's social media pages and on ours.
I think that would be fine. Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. We had one of those, not quite as fancy when my kids were little, and we really did use it a lot. Okay, so we had a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, so we need a roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes.
Rafanis Rulli, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Nigel Manan, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes. Okay, and then we will do our photo opportunity real quick.
And we accept it with gratitude. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
think that's a great idea, especially because you're right, there may be somebody who can hold it. All right. Yes. Amy, why don't you hold it?
I'm a little
Walk out. Yeah, there you go.
I'm a little slow moving these days. I hate to tell you what my kids had.
We pointed out that if you're a senior and you have a grandchild coming for the weekend, it might be a nice opportunity to go with the dogs and go for a
And I just want to say a little tip to parents if they're going to buy one for the biggest member, the heaviest member of the family, so that they wear it more often. So beautiful.
All right. How about this picture? Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Great.
Okay, so we're done with the consent agenda. Now we'll move on to town employee appointments. And did we lose Norman? You can go over? Okay. The Select Board will consider confirming the town manager's appointments of Seth Ledoux as Senior Library Assistant and Aaron Grogan as Parks and Rec Program Coordinator. So shall we start with the library appointment?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, yeah, well, first Elaine's going to introduce them.
Elaine's going to play me.
Okay. Welcome.
So this evening, we're pleased to introduce Seth Ledoux, candidate for Senior Library Assistant. The Senior Library Assistant performs administrative and clerical work in support of the daily operations of the library while providing customer service to patrons. This position will work in the children's and young adult rooms as well as the circulation desk. Mr. Ledoux has relevant experience at Homeyer Consulting Services, UMass Lowell Libraries, and at the Amherst Regional High School. He has a Bachelor of Arts in English and Creative Writing, and the references reveal that he's punctual, highly productive, and always there for the team. That he is skilled in organizing and prioritizing work and projects. He's described as great with patrons and coworkers. He brings people together and is a team builder. He is open, transparent, kind, patient, and compassionate, and sees the whole person. The first round interview panel was Nancy Hill and Andrea Conboy, the children's librarian. Second round interview panel was Nancy, Allison Keeney, and Kristen Merrill, human resources generalist.
Okay, thank you. So welcome. We're happy to have you on board. We looked through the packet and your resume looks great, and we're happy to have you. I don't know, does anyone have any, or Nancy, did you have anything to add before we...
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Just that we're thrilled to have Seth joining us.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions or comments?
I would just like to hear from Seth. Tell us, what excites you about this job opportunity and why Hopkinton with us?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved libraries, when as a little kid, was always there in high school and worked in college and always felt like a safe place for me as like an institution. So, and the library here is great. The people who work there are terrific, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the team with everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
So I just want to say, we're happy to have you. I read your resume. Everything looks really strong. We have this shiny new library, and we're trying to get it fully staffed now, and I think you'd be a perfect addition.
Thank you.
Major?
I just want to say welcome to Hopkinton.
Shahidul?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for choosing our town. I saw you have excellent education and very relevant background and experience. So welcome to Hopkinton, and thank you again for joining us. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Motion.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I move to confirm the town manager's appointment of Seth Ledoux as senior library assistant.
Second.
Okay, and a roll call vote?
Muriel Kramer, yes.
Irfan Nasrullah, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Raju Mohan, yes.
Amy Ritterbush, yes. Okay, you are all set. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
If two people wait, we could do a picture at the end, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You just let them know.
Okay, so next, we have Erin Grogan from Parks and Recreation Program Coordinator. Okay.
This is Erin Grogan is joining us this evening. She is being hired for the program coordinator in Parks and Recreation Department. The coordinator performs skilled administrative work, providing various types of support to the daily operations of the Parks and Rec Department. The role plans, organizes, coordinates, and administers seasonal recreation programs and activities for adults, youth, and children of the community. She has relevant experience at the Amos A. Lawrence School in Brookline as a wellness educator and the Running Brook Day Camp in various positions over a number of years. She has a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology, and her references reveal that as an educator, Erin was described as someone who is very good at meeting kids at their level and space. She's described as someone who provides good customer service and works well with colleagues. Another reference stated she's a team player, smart, and learns quickly. Erin's strengths are her creativity, energy, and flexibility in situations, and she has good instincts. The first round interview panel was Jay Gulfey, Parks and Rec Director, Vasudha Dutta, Executive Assistant, Lucas Ferreira, Data and Application Support Specialist, and Kristen Merrill, Human Resources Generalist. Second round interview panel was Jay Gulfey, Elizabeth Rourke, Town Accountant, and Jessica Leverins, Benefits Administrator.
Great, thank you. Well, welcome. You have big shoes to fill. Jenny Hurt was here a long time and did an excellent job. And I saw you have some software skills, which is excellent. I know those online registration programs are kind of a bear to deal with. So, well, Lucas was on the committee, too. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Oh, did Jay have anything to add? I'm sorry.
We're very excited.
Okay.
We're very, very excited. Erin brings a lot of energy, a lot of creativity. She is perfect for the role that we're looking for. So we're excited.
Great. All right.
That's my favorite question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're excited about coming to Hopkinton in this job.
Yeah, I've heard from many people like Hopkinton is a really great community, and since my first interaction with town members, I felt welcomed and everybody was very friendly. So I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to get started in Parks and Rec and bring my experience from recreation to this community.
Great, thank you.
So, read your resume. Everything looks great. We're really happy to have you aboard. So my son is actually studying kinesiology right now, and it's wonderful to be able to show him what he can do with this degree.
Yeah.
So, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Major?
Well, I think that this is really necessary. We're glad to have you on board. We have a very athletic community, as you know, a lot of runners and things. Not me though, but we do have a lot very recreational-minded people, and we can use all your services. Thank you.
Jill, did you have anything to add? I know he might be running low on battery.
Yeah, he said his battery is dead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to welcome, and I saw you have an excellent background, master's in physical education, and very relevant, valuable experience. Excited to have you, and welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we need a motion.
I move to confirm the town manager's appointment of Erin Grogan as Parks and Recreation Program Coordinator.
Second that.
Okay, and a roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes.
Irfan Nasrullah, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Raju Mohan, yes.
Amy Ritterbush, yes. Okay, and then if we could do a group photo with both new employees, that would be great.
You guys both have to be right dead center. Stars of the day.
Good.
Not much longer.
We need a strong word.
All righty, ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She knows the button.
Okay, that's implements. All right, next we're going to get a recap of the emergency preparedness drill at the Hopkinton LNG facility on Wilson Street. So we have the fire chief here. First off, I do just want to say, I'm so glad we were able to do this finally, and I heard from many residents that they appreciated the flyer, that it was helpful to them.
Excellent. Good evening, everyone. Through you, Madam Chair. On May 4th, we conducted our first large-scale practical drill in the new facility of the LNG plant, which is state-of-the-art, not the older side. It's on the brand-new side. Fire department, police department, our mutual aid partners conducted the drill, testing the safety features that are built into the plant, from the fire alarm system to the alerting system to the public warning system to fire suppression systems, the water supply system. Everything went off excellent. Chief Bennett and I were fortunate to be part of the large incident management team that was spearheaded by Eversource, and it was set up to deal with a large scale. So this was a mock large scale incident. It was based over a 6-hour time frame that the team was stood up, and multiple decisions were made at a very high command level. Mr. Kamala was there as well, too, to witness the whole process and participate as well.
Chief Bennett, do you have anything to add? Yeah.
So I guess if I could paint what it looks like. So you have participants who are staged and ready to be responding. Not realistically, the command level people are in a room together, but the scenario plays out in time. So we get our information in time and have to react to it and make decisions on the fly while the teams are reporting back to us. So the communication team is working on press releases, social media messaging. The operation team is coming in and briefing you on the first observations from the scene. And you have there must have been 8 or 10 teams that would report to us. And the command group, including Mr. Kamala, would have to make decisions on next steps and link the knowledge together. It all came together in that room. And so you have people functionally doing the work of fighting an LNG fire, and you have command level people making decisions, people that have never made decisions together, all in one place. And it was probably the best exercise or drill I've participated in, the most comprehensive by far. It was quite an experience.
You all were there too, you just didn't know it. You participated, trust me.
Oh, there was a select board stand-in.
Yeah.
I really wish I could have gone, but it was during the workday. It would have been fascinating.
It was really neat.
Yeah. Okay, Norman, did you have something to add too?
Yes. As a reminder to the public, the exercise has been in the planning phase, development phase for many, many years. And it, at least for me, symbolizes the growth and the effort that we've all put into building a relationship with Eversource to ensure public safety. Also, it needs to be noted that the exercise comes about also as a result of our efforts here as a community to engage the DPU, to engage our legislative team with a way or simply an objective to strengthen public safety. And I was very pleased to see that at work. I was pleased to see the assets that were brought to the training, including our mutual aid partners. Correct. I was very happy to see that Eversource has allowed our mutual aid partners to participate in the training. I think the lesson for me is that, yes, it's great when we respond in case of an incident. However, it's even much better if we can train together to ensure that when the event does occur, we're very prepared. And I saw that last week. I want to thank Chief Miller for coordinating the efforts alongside Chief Bennett. I also want to acknowledge the amazing and fantastic work that was done by your teams. I had the opportunity to see both the operational side in the Incident Command Management Center as well as the live exercise. I can tell you our teams were spectacular, they were ready, and they delivered. The incident was real, I can tell you. It was amazing just seeing them live in action. I wish the video that that somebody took would some parts of it that would be shared with the public. Last but not least, also the exercise included at the end a review of what worked and what may need to be improved upon. And I thought that was very, very good, and it did strengthen and add a wonderful punctuation mark to the exercises of the day.
We will be meeting again in a couple weeks, myself, Chief Bennett, Deputy Doherty, to review and do an after action with Eversource, again, on what worked well and what didn't. I'm not going to say the drill was seamless. It was a few flaws, but it was designed to do that so we could flesh out anything that may potentially happen and we can continue to build off of it. So it really was a great collaborative effort on both, as Norman said, police, fire, and Eversource personnel.
I'd like to reiterate and reinforce that. A good exercise or drill pushes you to some points of failure. Correct. If it doesn't, then it's just patting each other on the back. So, and then you also don't want what's called a perfect storm where you make it so that it fails 100%. So, for those who worked on designing it, we identified some areas we could work on.
That's correct.
And those will come out in the after action.
Absolutely.
And you'll be surprised to know one of them is communications.
Surprised what?
Communications. Always communications.
It's always communication.
Always
communication. Because it's real time, right? You're flying, and it's hard to, you don't get it correctly.
You forget someone.
Right.
Or...
It was kind of neat. We were, Joe and I had been there since the start of it, so we're giving some updates, and they really tapped us on the shoulder and said, "Sorry, Chief, you're not here. You can't interject." So
we do not see you.
Exactly. So I went back and sat down. I'm like, okay, I'll wait my turn. But yeah, it was really good. And as Chief Bennett said, it was real-time interjects where we thought we had it under control. They'd put another inject in, or Mr. Kamala would step up and go, "Hey, how about this?" or "How about that?" I'm like, okay, this is another inject. So it worked out well.
So my husband has a cousin who's a supervisor at a power plant in another state, and they do these things, I believe, at least annually. Is that what we're going to be doing now going forward?
We're going to be looking at doing something, yes. So every year we tour the facility, both police and fire. Tour this facility yearly. We do a review of the process, the emergency shutdowns, the control rooms, things that we're going to need to know. This is the first large-scale drill in the new facility. We've done large-scale drill, hands-on drill in the older facility, but nothing in the new because the new is just getting going and being put online. So yes, we will continue to do hands-on and tabletop drills as well for the new facility.
Great. I think I don't have any more questions for now. Do any other board members have questions or comments?
I just want to congratulate everybody involved because I know that this has been a long time coming to get this level of participation, cooperation, and exercise, right? And so it's really a success just to do it. I'm very delighted to hear that it actually also was very successful in its. When you carried it out and you had the opportunity to learn things and reinforce areas where you're strong and point out areas where you'll need to reinforce, it's awesome, and the community really appreciates it.
Thank you.
So I want to echo a lot of what Muriel said. I know we've been trying for a long time to have a partner with Eversource and understand what would happen in the event. And I just want to commend you for actually getting to that point where we can have run drills and work with Eversource so we have an understanding as to how would it all go down. Question is, have we improved upon any of the reporting from Eversource as to any kind of anomaly that may happen at the site where they would notify and we would have a process?
So, I'm trying to understand your question better. If something happens there, have we identified that? Or is that what you're...
Yeah, like if there was something that happened, would we be notified immediately? Would we have that action plan right away?
So the answer is yes.
Okay.
Without getting too in-depth, the new facility has some state-of-the-art safety features. One of the features is their fire alarm system, which myself, the deputy, and the shift lieutenants have to their department, town-issued department phones. Well, we'll get the alert of a fire alarm coming, whether it be a fire alarm, water flow, flame detector, whatever it happens to be, we get that before the call's even placed. Mm-hmm. So then the call comes in, and we're able to get that ahead of time. There's a lot of cameras. They're watching things on a regular basis. So, yes, we are getting and seeing things and responding quicker because of new technology.
In fact, if I may add, the process is now institutionalized. Mm-hmm. There's a formal ERP.
Correct.
It has the steps that need to be taken. And without getting into further details, there's more work to be done per the request by DPU that will allow us will allow our fire department to have stronger visibility on the site.
And that was part of the test on the drill, I should say, on the 4th, was the emergency response plan that was put together, as Mr. Kamalo stated. So it worked well, but we did find some flaws, and that's, as Chief Bennett said, that's what we want.
The whole point is to learn, yeah.
Exactly.
Did you have any? No, I just want to say congratulations for getting this far. Quite an improvement. And I wanted to ask the question, were there any other towns involved?
From the fire side, we had Milford, Ashland, Southborough, and Westborough. The reason we brought those communities in is we work with those on our first alarm or working fire assignments. What basically the other piece is too is Ashland and Southborough border right on that side of town. Ashland to the east, Southborough to the north. If Hopkinton is busy, there's a potential that Southborough or Ashland may be first due to a call in that location. So that's the reason for us having those folks be part of it. So yes, our immediate mutual aid communities were part of the drill.
That's nice to know. Thank you.
So you are just in time if you had any additional questions.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, along the same line, I think, as everyone said, thank you so much. I think it's a wonderful exercise, long due, first time in 20 years. So we are happy that finally we got here. And the collaboration is also very important. I think it demonstrated that Eversource and both of your teams organized it very well and did a wonderful job. So kudos to you, and look forward to the report. Now, my understanding is we don't have the full report yet, correct?
Correct. It's a little ways out. We're going to do a complete after-action report, which takes time. All the stakeholders, not our mutual aid partners, but Chief Bennett, myself, the Eversource, different branches and leaders are all putting what we found, what worked and what didn't work together. And we did a hot wash that afternoon, and we're going to do a more in-depth once the after-action report is complete.
So we'd look forward to that. And meantime, since, as you have heard from the residents, and we have heard and got many communications about various concerns, and also I think on Hop News there were quite a few concerns expressed about the facility, rightfully so. This is the largest in east of Mississippi gas plant facility-wise, and we want to make sure that we have all the right bells and whistles and gears, and this is a great first step. Can you share, if you have it, if not, totally understandable, from your observation, is there anything that we need to be concerned about at this time? And second is, I would also pose those questions that the residents have asked on various occasions. Maybe we'll list out all those questions and find out whether, I don't expect, again, you to have all the answers, but if there is a way we can facilitate those to get those from Eversource, and maybe it's, through our town administration as well. But just to hear from your thoughts, observation-wise, even though it wasn't an assessment exercise, it was more, I understand, reactive exercise, how we can manage should anything go wrong.
So the drill also included, Shadul, the workers. So the workers were tasked with the scenario, and they were tested as well as for their alerting system, their notification, their interaction with Deputy Doherty, who was the incident commander for the Evolution. So it was tested in that way as well, too. As far as any immediate safety hazards, no, we did not come across it. And I want to reiterate, the new facility, the safety features that are built into that facility are amazing. And again, we got to see those firsthand on the 4th, and we got to use them, and Chief Bennett heard it as well as I did. The water supply, the alerting system, the public alerting system, the addressing, these are all things, the way they control their valving, the way that they can monitor flame detectors, infrared cameras. There's so much technology that's there that's monitoring that. So for us to sit here and say, did we see anything? No.
Glad to hear that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, and look forward to the report. And thanks again for wonderful work.
Do you just have just a quick comment? Just real quick.
So, for the fire chief specifically, so was the drill done at the liquefaction factory because it's a newer system, or was it done for the tanks itself? Because the tanks are the ones where the leaks have happened, where the thermal event happened, and where the crack happened. Did Eversource allow the fire department to get into the place where the tanks are?
So the answer is, it's a multi-answer. So the drill actually was for the new facility. As far as the tanks, we can get into view the tanks at any point that we want. I was personally able, along with former Chief Slamman, to go into Tank B when it was down, and they rebuilt it and did their repairs to it. It was amazing to see the structural integrity of that tank at that point, to physically walk in that tank and see that tank look pristine, like it was brand new. So for us to get into and work with those tanks, we can, yes.
You have access, okay.
We have access to that, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I think our next item on the agenda was meant to be volunteer recognition, but would it be helpful to switch the order and do the fire chief transition plan?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Through the chair, thank you.
Yep.
Chief, don't leave.
I'll see it. Except with Bob Levinson, he's been waiting.
Oh, he is. Oh, sorry.
I can step out.
Okay, so is Bob Levinson here? I didn't see him. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'd like to see one. Okay, so now we will go to the agenda item for volunteer recognition. We were considering options and opportunities for recognizing volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And did you have any ideas or feedback on ways to recognize the volunteers?
I got nothing for you. Thank you.
Nothing for us, okay.
I gave it some thought, and I wrote a few notes. I don't think it's a question of activity, as we all know. It's a question of awareness. Mm-hmm. We're always talking about how wonderful volunteers are in town. It's the spirit of the community. It's a question of people not being aware of how to do this and how to recognize. So a couple thoughts that come to mind. The first is that, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not a PR person or a marketing person, so listen accordingly, I guess. First of all, like the volunteer recognition form that we have on the town website, it's kind of buried. and I understand there's a lot of things in town. This is not priority. As a matter of fact, I was thinking tonight I have the least heavy subject tonight, so I was happy with that. But it's not that prominent, so maybe it gets put to the front once a month and on a banner or something like that, so people see it when they come to the website. Might be one thing. And I would say periodically, because you don't want it to become, wallpaper. If it's there too much, it just blends into the background. We used to get, the Independent would put something in every issue. It kind of faded. I think we could keep that going as well as with Hop News. People see that, a lot of eyeballs, and that would increase it as well. I think when the board does some type of recognition too and publicizes it, that really, really helps because people pay attention. And I would urge you to leverage your visibility across the town. Within Town Hall, some reminders to people because they see this all the time. They see what's happening. They see the activity. So reminding them to take advantage of this. And I kind of look and see in front of me at least 5 opportunities to do this periodically. If each of you did this, I'm not telling you what to do, but suggestion, did once a month or every other month, it takes us into 2024. It gives visibility and it might give even more momentum that you're doing that. You see it all the time. And it's a simple thing, but it's nice when people get that recognition, get the certificate, and there's just tons of it. So I would urge you to do that as well. And again, it's not a question of activity because we have so much of it. So probably starting here and urging anybody who's involved with this to just take a minute and recognize someone. It just goes a long way. Those are the things that jump to my mind.
Okay, thank you. And we had kind of discussed the idea of having a specific event, maybe toward the end of the year, but before the summer. And I'm recognizing not everybody can come to the event, also signing certificates. But maybe in preparation for the event, we could send out that form about if people want to nominate a very special volunteer who's really gone above and beyond. And then we can recognize them at the event, too. And we talked about maybe an ice cream truck?
We did, and I did an exhaustive survey. Okay. I called one to get an idea. So it isn't that costly. Okay. It's about $5 a person for an ice cream truck, and the one that I did call is very nice and very friendly. It just services the town. I just don't think it would be hard to do. They certainly come to Hopkinton, but I could look around and see if there were different alternatives or more fun. The other thing I thought of too is that just as we're speaking, we have, for example, we have businesses in town that might want to be that. That treat. Oh, sure. So we might look closer to home and see if we could provide, like the Hapio for the volunteer and family or whatever on that day. So
that's a good thought.
Yeah. So I think it's achievable. I don't think, for example, thank you for the numbers, by the way. I made a great guess before that number showed up in the packet, but. And I recognize, too, that you filtered out for people who serve on multiple committees. And we're so lucky that people not only serve on one committee, but they serve on multiple committees and do things for town. But with, less than 200, it's a lot, but it's also very achievable. We could certainly do it.
I had thought that I would like to do something on the Common. With 200 people, it's doable. And, set up something with goodies. And maybe at one of the concerts, do the recognition, or have a special concert for the volunteers. But it's the center of town, people can come, and I think it would be a good place to have this volunteer recognition.
Okay. Rafano Shago, did you have?
Yeah, I think, all the ideas sound great. I just wanted to throw out having something at Hopkinton Family Day again as another option.
Okay.
And I would just urge something tangible with that. When you recognize someone and say, because of what you did, and here's your certificate, people like that. Those of us who work, when we used to be in offices, people kept those things on their desks.
Yes.
It meant
Yeah.
something to them. So it's a simple piece of paper, one way, but it's attached to that public recognition and visibility. Because just as we said, there's a ton of it in town. It's great to recognize it.
And it certainly means something. It's not just a piece of paper.
Right. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love all the ideas. I think it's a great way to recognize, and it's great to see that we have 178. That's awesome. My 2 cents is that to make it a little more special as we do it, as we celebrate it, announce it, and give a memorabilia that can be kept. So I like the idea that maybe tagging it or having it with the concert or something where we can pronounce the names, show the faces, and appreciate that especially. It's great, yeah.
So then a thought I had would be, and we can explore whether it would be feasible to do at a concert or at the Family Day and see what those organizations think. But perhaps we could hand out a certificate and a coupon for the ice cream, because if we have it on the day of a concert, there'll be a lot of people at the Common who are not volunteers, but maybe we could hand out a free ice cream certificate for people.
Yep.
And we're saying this without asking Norman if we have money for this.
We have to plan this, but yes.
I'm guessing it probably, yeah, so if they're $5 each and we have 179 volunteers.
It's $1,000. Is that right?
Yeah. And they might not all use them, but.
5,000? Wait,
More than that.
hold on.
5 times 100.
Maybe the chamber would have some.
It's 500. So it's 1,000. That's right.
Yeah.
You scared me there for a second. Wow. I was a math major back in the day.
I wasn't.
But yes, we have to find out that whether we can do it and all those things. But I agree, if we were able to pass out, recognition is a thing. And I saw you on the comment, and we talked about the recognition that I got at the marathon for being one of the the veterans recognized, and I was really pleased to have it, and it was really way more special and way more impactful than I thought it was going to be when I got there, and I really appreciate having been had that opportunity, been selected, and appreciate that they do that for veterans in town. And I don't know, it's just noticing what people are doing, and especially when they're volunteering, is really important.
Yeah. And when it comes from you, again, it means something around town, so that you have that opportunity to really make an impact.
Okay, so let's reach out to Parks and Rec about the concert option, and maybe Family Day about that being an option, and then ice cream companies locally.
And then commit to once to doing that monthly challenge, because it does matter, right?
We can ask for nominations on the form too, just Volunteer of the Year, and if we could pick the top 12, once a month we could honor them or something like that.
That'd be great. If it's queued up, I love something like that because it's there. Because again, when people recognize the form and say, oh, great, I'll do this. And every time we've had a nomination, it was clear they deserved it, just getting more nominations. Yeah.
Okay, this has been a really good discussion, so we have a little more work to flesh it out, I think, right?
Yeah.
The energy around it.
Oh, yeah.
If I may.
Just listening to this, despite my silly title of media manager for Trail, I do know some of this stuff. One suggestion, reach out to check other towns, see what they do. And I would also suggest town meeting. This is a formal recognition. Do it at a formal thing like town meeting. In the 2021 town meeting, there was a recognition, I believe, of the media sources. The town meeting we had out on the football field. So we have some precedent for that. So that was my suggestion.
Okay, all good thoughts. Okay, so we'll flesh this out more and figure out a plan.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now, sadly, we're going to talk about the fire chief resignation and transition plan.
Harumph.
So I do want to say we're very sorry to see you go, but we understand it's a really good opportunity for you. But I got to know you better this year as I've been chair, and we really appreciate your work on everything. Yeah. And so you're leaving, your last day is June 11th, it sounds like. All right. So have you and Norman worked out a transition plan, or
We have not.
We have not.
Yes. We wanted to have this conversation with the board first, get your perspectives on what we could incorporate into that plan, and then we'll go and plan.
Exactly.
So do we have a timeline for, it takes a long time to hire a key administrative director like this. So do we have enough time to hire someone new between now and then?
No.
No. So we will have to appoint an interim probably, right?
We have a deputy fire chief.
Correct.
And he can step in for now.
Part of his job description is that he will act as the fire chief when the fire chief is not present.
Correct.
All right, so that'll take care of it for now. Well, will Maria come with us, up to us with a process for choosing the next chief? Or not necessarily today, but you will come to a future meeting with an outline process for how we'll go through the thing? Okay, great. Do any other board members have questions or comments? Or just Norman, do you have anything to add?
Yes, again, our interest is big picture. What is the board looking for?
Yes.
So I think, through the chair, I think the options are, promote from within and national search. I think that's kind of the discussion. If I'm reading you correctly, I think that's the discussion that you're looking for us to have. I'm just one board member, but I love the idea of promoting from within, but I think that we also want to have the best person available to take the position. So, certainly would encourage all to apply. And, I think there would obviously be a lot of, how should I put it? We have experience with the internal candidates, so I think that would probably weigh heavily, or carry some weight.
Yeah, just speaking for myself through you, Madam Chair, I very much expect that our internal candidates will be incredibly competitive, but I do hope that we search broadly and have a competitive process, and that is just for better process and better opportunity. But I always expect that our internal candidates are going to show incredibly well and be very competitive. And I just want to make it clear that I do support a broad search, but I am totally supportive of hiring the best candidate. And if that is a person who is internal, that's amazing.
Through the chair, just one last comment on it. I think when we're considering an internal candidate, there's a lot of institutional knowledge. We just went through this fire drill with the Eversource, right? We don't want that lost. So I think that that's also going to come to bear in the selection process.
Okay, Mary Jo.
Well, I don't know yet what procedure I want to follow, but I just want to address Chief Miller and thank him sincerely. My eyes get moist when I think about it. I don't want to see you leave, but I understand that you have to, and we will miss you very, very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Jo.
So can I just jump back, because I should have said that too. We're really going to miss you, and we really appreciate your longtime service to this town and your dedication. And I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but should have said that first. And I don't approve that you're leaving. I don't.
Can we not accept?
I mean, you didn't ask me, but I don't approve. But you're always happy when people that you know and respect and have done incredible work for your organization, whatever that is, always happy when you see them put on additional wings and find a bigger spot that they're happy about being part of. So I wish you the best.
Thank you.
It is the definition of bittersweet.
Thank you.
You don't have to go.
Sorry, Mary Jo.
I think I echo everyone's emotion and everyone's feeling. First and foremost, thank you for your service, 23 years. The town is grateful to you. We are grateful to you. And I wish nothing but the best for your future endeavors. And you've been great, and it was wonderful to have you. And we always felt safe in your hands, and I'm sure your department and everyone is capable with your legacy to continue. Thank you. So thank you, a big thank you, and we'll continue to thank you as as we see you. Now, second, I would suggest that immediately with your experience and expertise and the wonderful deputy that you have, let's plan for a transition. So I'd like to see a transition plan coming from both of you. You're the expert, and kind of help us understand how you are planning to do that, timeline or responsibility-wise, and how we can help, or if we have any opportunity to help, or any ways from the administration as well, town manager's office, that we can help, making sure that it's a smooth transition and well planned as much as we can throughout this time. And how much time do we have between now and your date of departure?
About 6 weeks.
Okay, so maybe in the next 3-4 weeks, we want to. I would like to see a transition plan, and with your kind of blessing and the deputy's understanding of it. And then the third is obviously we'll need to open up our search process with the right criteria and have it open. You know, we want the best candidate, internal, external, and I'm sure there's a lot of institutional knowledge that we can look at, and also we can look at what the candidates are out there and find the best that we can get. But thank you again, and we are grateful for your service. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
So I think I will echo what the others said, that I think we do have some strong internal candidates that would have more institutional knowledge and experience with the LNG facility that external candidates are probably not going to have. But I think it is the best practice to open it up to external candidates as well. And then, yeah. So, and I would guess, though, that an internal candidate might rise to the top, but we don't know until we go through the process. So are we all agreeing that we would open up to external candidates?
That's my preference.
And internal, yeah. Okay.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Okay. Internal candidates as well.
With internal...
internal candidates encouraged to apply, yes. Do we need to vote on that, or just the consensus?
I have perhaps a tactical question. If we are to conduct a national search, do we want to ask the HR office to do that, or do we want to bring a company to come and do that for the town?
Do we need to go as far as a national search rather than just posting it to both internal and external?
I thought I had national search.
What's that?
I thought I had national search.
Oh, how does...
I wouldn't want to limit it necessarily. I'm happy to search far and wide.
Okay.
Yeah. I am open to either process, but a professional search organization seems to make sense.
Okay, and is that what we've done in the past? Not this last time?
No, we have not done it.
It's always been internal. Excuse me, it's always been internal. Yeah. We've never done an outside search before, prior to Chief Slayman.
Okay. So natural search for
I'm only one voice. Yes, I mean, I would think conducting a real search makes sense.
Yeah, I would be open to that too, I think.
Okay. So through the chair, is the HR department ready for national search, or is that?
Again, I think we have a very capable HR office. Right now, we have a long list of vacancies. Given the timelines we're working with, I would appreciate any outside help that we can offer them.
Okay, so that would be your recommendation then? Are you not saying?
What was the recommendation? I'm sorry, I missed.
Hiring a search company.
Okay, because they're pretty busy with other...
A search professional.
Okay, so that's okay with me then, if that's the consensus.
Through the chair, if we were to hire an outside firm to conduct the search, would we be able to provide parameters for how that's going to go forward? Because, I mean, I have a strong preference for an internal candidate due to the institutional knowledge, the training that they received from Chief Miller, and then prior to that, Chief Slayman. So, you know, that would be kind of one of the parameters that I would be looking for if we were to hire an outside firm to conduct the search, that there should be a certain weight granted to that institutional knowledge.
Through the chair, usually the executive search or leader search always have the opportunity to lay out what our outline is and how you would like to prefer, what are the criteria, what are the weightage of the criteria, all those good things. Just to clarify on that, I'm sure Norman can shed more lights on it.
Yes. Again, for me, the process that I will discuss with the HR is, one, engage the community in developing a profile for the position, a profile for the community, and also engage the community in deciding how we're going to reach as far deep as we can into the nation, or rather across the nation. And there are two ways then of proceeding. We can simply ask the search firm to identify candidates that they then hand over to the HR office for processing, or we can ask them to do the entire process and to the point where they make a recommendation to the board. So there are various ways of doing so, but your concerns, yes, will be addressed when we develop the profile for the community and for the position.
Okay, so they'll come back to us to help develop the profile?
We will consult.
Or the firm will?
Yes, we will consult widely with the community, with board members, with fire department personnel, public safety, town department heads.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this is just a starting point then?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so are we all set with this agenda item?
I'm looking at Maria.
Is there anything else we need from us?
Through the chair, so what's the next step on this, or action items?
So you're going to engage a firm,
okay,
right? Or Maria will?
3 action steps, at least through the chair. We will have a sit down with the deputy fire chief, so that we can share with him the expectations regarding what he will be doing going forward. And then secondly, we will work on a transition plan with the chief. And then thirdly, I will work with the HR office in addressing what the board just discussed now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need anything more from us on this topic? Or are we good?
No, we're good.
Okay. We have another high-interest topic.
Good luck.
Coming up next.
We'll miss you.
All the best, yeah.
Very much. All the best.
Well, we'll see you at our, I'm sure, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and so next is the Upper Charles Trail Committee Town Meeting follow-up. The Select Board will consider acknowledging the 2023 Annual Town Meeting advisory vote to dissolve the UCTC and express that it will work with stakeholders to move forward with a solution that the majority of the town will support. So I did want to start by saying, too, that there were 2 votes, so that the Article 48, that they won't spend any more money on Segment 7. I just want to acknowledge that one as well, that we're not spending any money now, but we will not spend any money on it going forward unless there were a future town meeting vote in the future that directed us otherwise. And then, so then acknowledging the advisory vote to dissolve the UCTC. And I have some thoughts on that, and it's tough. But I think it is clear from what we heard at town meeting that the public wants a change, a major change in the committee, and they both feel they didn't like the Segment 7 Hayden Row, and they didn't feel heard or that they were communicated well with. And so I do think we need to take some major action. I'm not sure if it really should be a subcommittee of the TCMC, or if, at the very least, I think we need to update the charge and maybe the what do you call it, and the composition of the membership. And then some other things to think about, and I'd like to hear my fellow board members' feedback too. I think there's 3 upcoming meetings of the Upper Charles Trail Committee, and I don't know if we might want to direct them either either to pause those meetings or give them a specific thing, like maybe they could look at the charge and see what recommendations they would make for changes going forward. So I guess I said my piece. I'd like to hear what fellow board members are thinking.
So through the chair, before we get into any of this, I want to thank the existing board members for all the hard work that you've done over the number of years, all the progress that you've made. I know it's been a lot of work with not a lot of appreciation, so I want to thank you for everything you've done. That said, the public has spoken, and it was a pretty resounding vote. So I think I keep going back to institutional knowledge and everything that the current board knows and has worked on, and I don't want to see that go away. I like the idea of kind of revisiting the charge and having the committee kind of examine whether or not they've met the goals in the charge and providing recommendations as you suggested. As far as dissolution of the committee, I think that's way too drastic. I want to see this drill built, and I think that the progress that's been made should not be just thrown out the window.
Would you like to go next?
Yeah, no, I'm fine going next. Through you, Madam Chair. So we were all there. You were watching from home, Irfan, and we heard what people had to share. I do have a couple of thoughts. I know that there's been some social media chatter about how people voted, and that's all fair play. I just want to make sure people know that when we all of us vote on town meeting floor, we get to vote for ourselves individually. Those are our individual votes. And the work that we do when we're on a board or committee or on the select board here has to accommodate a broader perspective, right? So we have to take it all into account. I find myself sort of really swinging with a lot of what Amy said and Irfan said. I don't want to lose the progress. I want to make sure. I really appreciate Irfan, actually, and I should have started the same way, and I missed my moment, that you started by thanking the volunteers who've worked so hard over the years to invest in something that this town indicated about 10 or 12 years ago that they really wanted. And it's a Herculean task. I know that as I age, and if anybody else says it that way, I'll have to sort of slap them, but as I age, I can say it because it's me. I value different kinds of paths and trails, right? So I do think that we need to think in terms of what we're talking about when we talk about trails, or what we're talking about in particular when we're talking about the Upper Charles Trail. It really is something that it was conceived and intended to be open for a lot of different transportation or ambulatory abilities or vehicles and so forth. So I do want to make sure, like you said, Irfan, that we don't lose the value of everything that has happened. I want to make sure that we're responsive to the town meeting vote. So there it is. That'll be so easy, right? But I think that it starts with looking at the charges of the two committees, actually, and understanding and appreciating what both committees are supposed to do and what they have been doing, ascertaining, if they have the right supports. And then, honestly, what would help me the most, truly, what would help me the most as we work through this is to hear from people who have this deep level of investment in trails broadly, how the charges of the two committees can and should work together, how they see a structure that really accommodates the work of the various committees in town. So I really want to see a supportive, collaborative, workable solution that is respectful to everybody who has participated, all the work that has gone on, and has a solid go-forward position that people can get behind. So that's like super easy. Good luck, but it will help. It will help to hear from people what it is that they see is going to make this collaborative work come together for the town, and understanding that we have some trails that scoot through the woods that have all kinds of nifty wooded roots and trees and tripping things for me as I get old, and other kinds of trails that are really meant for people that that are going to be using them in a different way. I think that there are many kinds of trails, and I think that we can all get behind supporting a lot of different kinds of trails, and certainly we can all come together and support people who've been working hard for this town, even if we have disagreed with them over time.
Mary Jo, did you have anything to add?
Well, I always felt that the Upper Charles Trail's real job is to provide a motion way to hook up with the other towns. It's not a Hopkinton thing only. It's going through Hopkinton, but it was supposed to hook us up with, Ashland, maybe Holliston, Milford, and it's supposed to be like a thoroughfare for bicycle commuting and all that other kind of thing. So it's a much bigger operation than all the trails that are in Hopkinton. This is to hook us up with other communities, and it's not just for us, for Hopkinton. And I think we have to look at that big picture too. That the purpose of this was for a commuter route by bike or walking or between towns. It wasn't just originally a Hopkinton trail. Nice thing in Hopkinton. I didn't understand it as that. And I know the other towns use railroad beds and things like that, but Holliston has hooked up with Milford, and some of the other towns. Milford has hooked up with what's below them, Franklin or something. There have been, and that was the original. I understood it as the original purpose of the UTC was the Upper Charles Trail was to figure a commuter route that's not cars.
Okay, so Sherry, do you
Yeah, sure.
else to add? I have some more thoughts, but I want everyone to speak first.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to start by thanking the UCTC members, especially Jane. Decades of service, wonderful dedication, thousands of hours, same with Eric. Huge work over the decades. So thank you to you both and to all the members that have carried this burden for many, many years. I know it's not a small task, and it has been complicated in many ways and challenging in many ways. So totally appreciate that work. And sometimes people forget that we are all volunteers here, and what we are doing is, taking time out of our personal, professional, family times. So I fully appreciate all the passion and dedication. Thank you. And on that note, I tend to, I'm on the same page with my colleagues here that we heard from the town, and as leaders of the town, we have the responsibility to respond, to move forward in a positive way. And I think it's a good conversation to have, that how can we move from here and make the best out of the situation. And I think I'm very positive that we are one Hopkinton. We can all have our thoughts together, our disagreements together on the table, and then find the best foot forward. And that's what we need to do here. And to do that, I think, I don't want to jump into any particular proposal, but to outline what our goals are is obviously to get trail that works for all of us, serves the purpose, and that means a few things we need to do is look at what is the proper framework maybe. how can we get a fresh start with all our differences aside, something that works for everyone. The committee structures, maybe we go back, and I liked Ken's comments too, go back and review the charter. Maybe there's work to do there to be more clear. And third, we also heard that, and I also feel that from the board, select board side, maybe we were not engaged enough, and for so many things going on, we likely want to be engaged more, and however we can help, provide guidance, provide advice, or just support more than what you may have today. So those are the highlights of the goals as we rethink it and revisit this. And in terms of the solution, again, I would like to hear all the thoughts. The experts are all within these two committees, and all the people who are passionate and have been very involved. I'm passionate about trails, but I'm in no way an expert, so I'd like to hear more on those. And I would suggest that maybe we have an open forum with both the committees, current committees, and the experts that we may know, or subject matter experts that we may know, and find out a way to frame it better to move forward. And again, revisit the committee structure, revisit the charter goals, and also how we can come up with an operational plan that select board and other leadership as needed can be more engaged, and time to time provide maybe better support, better advice, and better guidance to make things move forward. And one last thing is, I also heard in the meeting that this is just my personal opinion, that as we set the goals, I wouldn't set the goal that, yes, it will take another 25 years. That, in my view, is not a good goal. Even though it may look like the reality, we all need to be more optimistic, more, getting our hands together. How can we make it happen maybe in 25 months? If not sooner. So that would be my optimistic, and maybe some may look at it impractical, but I think it's practical if we all can get our heads and hands together.
Okay, so I think we do need to be a little specific in our direction. We've all said a variety of things, but I think it might be appropriate to direct the UCTC to take any pause on work that they had been doing, and I think we really do need to totally revamp the charge and perhaps the composition of the board. Because there were so many, and I have a whole lot of comments on it that I could bring to the next meeting, but just in particular, like when they redid the elementary school building committee after the failed vote in 2011, they specifically recommended for the next time there be a person that has skills and experience in communication. One of the designees has to meet that criteria. It might be good to have somebody on who also has experience in facilitating meetings and forums, just so that we can, move forward in getting that community feedback and getting more consensus. So I don't feel comfortable exactly dissolving the committee tonight, but I think I would like to direct them to pause their work, except on maybe suggestions for revising the charge and composition. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way.
I'm not prepared to make a change tonight.
Okay.
Right? I think we have to have the fuller conversation. That's just me.
I agree with Muriel.
Through the chair, I'm also thinking, what would be a good working process to get there? Is it we collect something or some more information through public forums, or is it we among ourselves publicly brainstorm more with the ideas that we are thinking or voices that we have heard? I'm not sure what exactly is the technicality involved.
I think we do need to specify something. Oh, so great. Mary Jo.
Okay.
Okay. You all set?
Well,
okay. So
I look at these and I look at them as two very separate trails committees. Have very separate charters and very separate things to do. And because I'm such a young woman, I've been around for so long, that the whole idea of the Upper Charles is working with the state and state engineers and all those, and that's really difficult to do, was to connect the towns for a commuter way other than with traffic. And that was the original that I remembered, and we all thought that was such a great idea. And then it got difficult. It got really difficult. And I want to thank the people that have been working on it. I don't know where we go from here. I'd like to see it continue.
I think we do need to set some kind of direction. So are we thinking we should have maybe a joint working session with the two committees?
I would love that.
And us?
I would love that.
And maybe some
so, yeah.
recommendations from the town manager about committee composition and charge changes?
And the town planner, in terms
And the town planner, sure.
in terms of the trails, and the town engineer.
Okay.
I would love that, if that's something that people could support.
Through the chair, one thing that Shadul mentioned is, how are we going to get the community support or direction? So, I mean...
Well, they've given us some pretty clear direction.
They've given us some clear direction.
I think
but as far as what they want, that's still pretty vague in my mind. What is...
We know what they don't want.
Yeah, we know what they don't want, but we don't know what they want. So, kind of... including the public in that meeting with two committees.
Oh, yes.
Well, I feel like we need to have multiple steps here. It's a lot of... I don't want to just get into the arguments. I want
No, I don't want arguments, but I want direction.
Constructive
I
feedback
want
for
constructive ideas.
Okay.
I want ideas of how it's going to be structured. I want people to weigh in, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Through the chair, I think the forum and getting the brainstorming would be a great start. And I want to be respectful, again, for all the services, but do think we need a fresh start and fresh thinking. So how can we do that?
I agree. So Norman has been really busy lately. We've had a lot on our plate with the Town Hall and Select Board. So how long do you think it would take before we could get some kind of working session, maybe in June, or?
Just from tonight, I mean, we're always ready to do work. We are very thin now in terms of staffing.
Correct.
We talked about the forum on LNG. Which one do we want to prioritize? LNG or?
I think, well, the LNG, I think, would be prioritized.
Yeah.
Right. Scott, do you have something brief? Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Scott Naus, 175 Hayden Road, member of the UCTC. I know it's not open discussion, but I appreciate the opportunity, Madam Chair. I put forth a request that you do allow the UCTC to get together at our next meeting because we have the benefit of the results from the town, and we'd like to discuss it. And I do believe that we'd be able to discuss it and even come forward with potentially our own plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
That'd be helpful.
Thank you. That's helpful. Okay. So, do you think June is realistic, or later in the summer, or?
Again, perhaps we need to. You need to sit down with us and work through what you want us to work on and how do you prioritize.
Right.
Yeah.
If I could offer through you, Madam Chair, too, this is the work of the Select Board, so people can give us feedback with constructive ideas and so forth. We can be working on what we vision and what we're willing, or what we are hearing from people in terms of reorganizing for trails.
Yeah. I just don't want to let it. The public was very clear what they want. Yep. I don't want to let it lie too long without some action. Okay. But understanding town staff is.
I'm just trying to sort of maybe take it off of town staff plate and keep the ball rolling so that we're all working on it with feedback from the community. So we're coming up with some sort of strategies and plans that are informed by constructive suggestions from the community.
How about, Irfan is the member of the Select Board that is on the Upper Trails Trail Committee. Do you want to designate me to work with Irfan to come up with some ideas that we could bring to our next meeting for how we might do forums going forward?
Sure.
With
that takes it right off of my plate.
Well, I mean, I think...
No, I agree with you, Amy. That's a great idea. But don't
You're not going to make any decisions, just talk about...
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about you making it. I'm not at all worried about that. I want the public to really be thinking about this. So if we're not having a forum next week, I want the public to really be informing the process as we go forward. I mean, we want to make sure that we're responsive and constructive, and what we come up with is something that everybody, well, hopefully the most people can support.
Yeah, the majority at least. And then, so I guess, so as the TCMC and UCTC move forward too, it would be good to get all their feedback because they have the history.
Absolutely.
And so at their next couple of meetings, and I think they're both televised or recorded. I think transparency is key right now. So just if both those committees can make sure to record their meetings so the public can watch, I think that would be helpful for transparency going forward. So do we have a little bit of a plan? Irfan and I will kind of get together and try to come up with a framework. And then, all right, so the committees are invited to give constructive feedback for how we can make some changes to move forward on a project that the majority of the town will support. So, have I summed it up?
I like it.
To the chair, I like it. I still would look for the public forum opportunity.
Yeah, I think we will. I think that's what Irfan and I would kind of discuss. Just before you have a forum, maybe we should send a survey, or maybe we should how to get the timeline for all that. And
yeah, something relatively quick, probably.
okay, all right. So can we move on to town manager's report? Or
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we had a lot in there.
Yeah, through the chair, let me preface the town manager remarks by sharing a couple of observations based on the last discussion.
Wait, sorry, say again?
Let me preface the town manager's report by sharing a couple of observations regarding the various topics that the board has covered tonight.
Okay.
As a student of democratic projects, I'm always excited when these kinds of conversations take place, and two observations come to mind. Earlier on, Bob Levinson talked about recognition not as a reward, but rather as an experience. Not as an event, but rather as an emotional connection that we make with volunteers as we conduct our business. I couldn't help, listening to the last conversation, think back to that intellectual distinction that Bob made. I think it's important that for all of us who work with volunteers, that we acknowledge what I think Bob was saying, that it's great to have an event. It matters more, though, in terms of what happens day to day, how we connect emotionally, how we recognize individuals. And in fact, for me, it was the distinction between recognition and reward. Put that aside. Second observation, I love democracy. And listening to the last discussion, I could not help but think back to a thesis that most people have looked at. How do you reconcile the principle of majority rule with protecting minority views? Very interesting discussion that I just had. I thought I should share that with you.
It is a challenge.
Yes. Going back to the town manager's report, town meeting retrospective. I thought it would be helpful, as we've done in past years, to talk about town meeting. I posed in the town manager's report several questions that the board could cover. What are the three things that went well? What are the three things that could have gone better? What are the suggestions for improvement? And last but not least, what are the priority follow-up actions from town meeting, and which of these would you like to work on?
Is that our homework or our classroom time?
Do you want us to give feedback right now? Or
I was thinking the board could give the feedback now, but there's a suggestion that perhaps this should be homework.
This is homework. It should be homework. I like this.
The hour is getting late, yeah.
I would start with not getting COVID before the town meeting.
Yes.
I want to say thank you to everybody who came. We had incredible
Excellent.
participation, and that is so important. And yeah, I just so appreciate that people came. Many people stayed, and of course that second night people stayed very late to get it done. And really appreciate the investment and the involvement. It was amazing.
Through the chair, I'm echoing the same. It was great participation, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and that's what direct democracy is. I loved it. I thought it was wonderful and wonderfully organized, thanks to you all, your hard work. And in terms of some of the technical aspects, I thought the consent agenda helped push the time and efficiency. I thought the distribution of the articles were well thought out. That also helped keep it tight and moving. And in terms of improvement, I think one thing I want to explore for next time, is there a way we could do electronic voting within the perimeter? And with technical suggestion, advice that's going on in other towns, that could even help more, because the technology has advanced in the meantime, and practice and best practices have also evolved, and it's been proven in other towns. I'm not fully advocating because I haven't done my full research, but I think something to explore.
Looking at corner.
So I'm going to echo it. The consent agenda was great. The process for the consent agenda, I thought that people didn't quite understand. So maybe even if we don't know the exact articles that will be on it, we could publicize the process about how to say hold and whether to ask, how to just ask a question versus really holding it till the end of the meeting. I thought the timer was wonderful, that the people could see, as well as it was very clear when they had to stop speaking. And the closed captioning, I love. Mary Jo and I had the iPad between the two of us, and we both wear hearing aids.
Awesome to hear. I'm glad that
that was excellent. And I think too, having in the warrant and motions document which articles, I know anything that's going to be bonded, we're supposed to have a count if it's not unanimous, and having that written in with the motions where we say 2/3 required, but I think we should also say if not unanimous, counting would be required, because people seem to be grumbling about the counting, but if they had known in advance, that might have helped.
Well, I agree. I was grumbling, because I didn't know in advance.
And I would agree with Shaidul, the electronic voting, there are systems I think we can buy that Connor has looked into, like clickers, so you can just click yes or no, and it's not free, but I would like to explore that option. Okay, sorry. Who hasn't spoken yet? Did you have?
No, I thought town meeting was great, actually.
Did you both already speak?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And then,
But I do want to say that I think it should still be homework, not...
Oh, yeah.
So we've all kind of thrown something out there, but I think we should...
Yeah, I agree.
Think about homework.
Yep.
Okay, what are you going to give us for an assignment?
It's the 4 questions.
Right there.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The 4 questions are in the packet.
What's that?
The 4 questions are included in the town manager's report.
9. Okay, Main Street corridor. Up in full swing and getting lots of complaints in. So.
Yes. In fact, before we leave town meeting, it needs to be said, the work that was done was immense. The scale huge, with 48 articles. And I think the highlight for me was that 6 of them were citizen petitions. This is the highest number of citizen petitions that I've experienced in my 14 years in the town. And also, financials totaled $128 million. That's significant. There were 5 zoning and 5 general bylaw changes. We reviewed 11 land acquisitions and processed 3 administrative matters. That's pretty significant. Other communities require 2 town meetings to do that, one in the spring and one in the fall.
2 nights? It was excellent to get it done in 2 nights. The land acquisition, though, reminds me, there was one land acquisition that the Open Space Committee was not expecting, so maybe we can get an update on that at a later.
Yes, in fact, I've spoken with Ed Harrow, who has made his sentiments known. I have taken full responsibility for the change.
So just to be clear, we can blame you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just ask.
Yes, I've taken full responsibility. There was consideration whether the parcel will be under the jurisdiction of the Select Board or the Open Space and Preservation Committee, and we made an administrative decision to to put it under the Open Space and Preservation Committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, because even though town meeting authorized the taking of that land, or the accepting of that land for the Open Space Commission, if, it sounded like Ed really didn't want the land for the Open Space Commission. Is it possible, do we not have to not actually accept it, even though the town meeting authorized it?
No, to be clear, Ed's concern was not receiving the land. His concern was his committee. He felt that his committee had not been advised.
Not been consulted, okay.
But they really appreciate having the land.
Okay, they are happy to accept it, they just
Yes.
didn't know.
Yeah, his other concern was, in his mind, he believes the land is coming with invasives, and that's a
Yes.
concern for him.
Okay, oh, the Japanese knotweed.
Yeah.
Right, okay, got it.
Open
Okay.
space is open space. It will have thorns, it will have bushes, it will have invasives. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, back to Main Street. Oh, sorry, so was there more on town meeting, or
What, sorry?
in your report, was there more on town meeting?
Oh, no, just that.
So Main Street?
Main Street. Yeah, clearly, work has commenced, and the charge that I'm communicating to the team is that this is the final stretch. It's impacting the main restaurant footprint in our downtown. We have at least fewer properties than we had on the western side, and therefore I'm encouraging Dave, Nicole, and Michelle to literally be knocking on the business owners' doors regularly,
Okay.
and not simply rely on the updates that we provide, or phone calls or emails. There are lessons that we have learned from working on the western side, and one of those lessons is that there's a distinction between the property owner, who is on record, and the tenant.
Right.
And we just want to make sure that the
That they
people
both
who
know.
are supposed to, yes. And also, we have learned that the needs of different businesses are unique and different, and we can only learn those needs by talking directly with the property owner. So our charge is talk, touch, knock on doors as often as
That
possible.
sounds like a great idea.
Yes. Great plan. Yeah.
For the detour aspect, now that we're doing the filled-up excavation, let's see, so the school buses, do you have an update on that? Will the school buses still be allowed through during the detour part, or will they pause the detour until after the buses arrive?
I did check with Dave and the police chief. Continuously, they will monitor the situation. The rules will still remain the same. School buses will be let through.
Okay. But there is also traffic of people dropping their kids at school that may cause big backups, but maybe they can adjust the detour a little bit if needed. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Okay, and then on PFAS, we have scheduled the public hearing regarding the proposed use of ARPA funds for the PFAS filtration system on Tuesday, May 16th at 6:30 here at Town Hall.
Okay. I will try to come to that or listen. I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then on the MWRA project, we are continuing to review the effect basis items that we identified in a prior meeting between Southborough and Hopkinton. In fact, at your next meeting, we will be introducing our interim DPW director. We did reach out and we were able to identify Tom Temple, who actually has been in the office already beginning last week. He is an experienced DPW director, worked as the Deputy DPW Commissioner for the City of Marlborough for over, I believe, 20 years. Spent the last 9 years as the DPW Director for Chatham, and has dealt with all the issues that we are in front of us, PFAS, MWRA connections, as well as corridor project improvements. So really, really qualified. I've been meeting with him together with the leadership team as well as staff at DPW regularly. Today I spent 2 hours with them, and last week I spent over 3 hours at their meeting. We're in good hands. He's retired. He only has limited time, and so he's in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That's great. You're able to find someone.
To have somebody, yeah.
And then, and we've posted the job, so we'll be starting to get candidates in.
Yes, we've posted the position.
Okay, great. All right. Anything else or questions on the town manager's report?
No. Nothing
I don't think so.
Okay. We're ready for liaison reports then? Or on board invites?
I don't have any reports either. I just looked at the town website. Do you know if the TCMC is having a meeting upcoming? Because I didn't see it. Then you don't know. Okay. I don't have any reports either. Just a big reminder to vote on Monday.
Mary Jo?
Well, the marathon went off. Well, kind of. And the marathon committee did a great job, I thought, honoring the vets and doing their usual job, but the use of the common was terrible. And a lot of the citizens have been calling and giving a hard time because there's no vendors, there's no walking around on Saturday, there's no walking around on Sunday, there's nothing but the BAA tents and nobody in them. There was no real information to give out. There was nothing for the people of Hopkinton. Now, this year that's coming up is going to be a celebration of the 100-year start from Hopkinton, and yet there's nothing for the citizens of this town. So I want to ask them, what are they going to do for Hopkinton? And then they say, well, this is the way we do it in every other city. We just come in, run the race, and leave. Well, that's great, but this isn't every other city. This is 100 years of this town, and the people in this town are used to being treated a certain way and having a whole weekend of the marathon. Starting Saturday and Sunday and getting out in the good weather and walking around. And it's a real icon of spring here in town. And this way, we're not making any money. None of our vendors are out there. There was nobody using the restaurants or Bill's Pizza or any of the other places, the Muffin House. There just weren't any people here. And people came on Saturday and they were so disappointed, and people came on Sunday and they were so disappointed that there wasn't something for them to at least look at and talk about. And I think that we have got to ask the BA to step up and do something for the people in the town, and can't do this every year. Just fill the common, and it's theirs, and that's it. Come in, go to the common, and leave.
So so this is not urgent, but I think we should ask the VA and the Marathon Committee to come talk to us about this, while they start their planning for next year, maybe?
Yeah. I like that. I think it was, through the chair, it was well organized, and we loved how it went. Everything went well, and thanks to all the organizers, and we're proud of having another one successfully. But I agree with Mary Jo. I felt, some of the liveliness that we always observe was not as prominent this time, so we definitely want to do how we can bring it back.
There wasn't anything on Saturday, Sunday, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so also I want to know, we got invited to the Pride Parade on June 11th. So I can RSVP for the group if people would like to go together?
I would love to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
June 11th?
What's that?
June 11th?
June 11th.
June 11th.
Yeah, from 1 to 4 at the HCA.
That's going to be a big celebration, and it's going to be on the street this year. And
Okay, so I'll RSVP for the group and tell me if
I
like to come to.
might be laid up, but...
You want to talk about the flags as well?
What's that?
You want to talk about the flags?
before that, oh, yes, that's right, too. So I wrote that down somewhere, but I forgot. So the Freedom Team was asking if we would, again, post a pride flag on Town Hall for the Pride Month is June, so.
Yeah. All right with that.
And then would we like to be a part of that as a ceremony, or town staff can just post it?
Yes to all.
Okay. So could we coordinate a time in the first week of June to do that?
Yeah, I'm not available, but
okay.
I'm having my knee done, so I'm out of commission for the month of June.
And then there's also a Juneteenth flag that can go on the flagpole. So do we have a meeting close to Juneteenth? What's the next? We have a meeting on June 20th. I think that's the day after.
And June 6th, it says.
Yep. So maybe we could come a little bit early to one of those two meetings to... Does it seem appropriate? It should be before the 20th, before the 19th. Okay, so would that be okay to raise that flag at our June 6th meeting then? And we could come a little bit early to do that?
Sounds good. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we want to do the pride flag at the same dinner at the same time then? It was pretty early in June, or we could do that the next...
So we do both?
Both on June 6th? Okay.
For the event before Juneteenth?
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, that sounds
As
good.
early in June as works, yeah.
Okay. Okay, and future agenda items. I feel like I had one, but now I've forgotten. Oh, yes. I think it was John Ritz wrote to us.
Right,
Yeah, it's related to the marathon, but some towns honor the marathon runners from their own town and who are the top finishers from their own town at maybe the select board meeting following the marathon or in some other way. So he suggested we might do that. So could we put that on a future agenda item, maybe?
That would be good, yeah. I like the idea. I think it would motivate our town runners and build a vibe too.
Okay, but we could discuss it next time. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And there's plenty of time till the next marathon.
Yes.
Okay, any other future?
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Just as a positive note, I know I was kind of negative about the marathon, but Amy and Shahidul and myself went to the Greek embassy for the presentation of a wreath. And I want to thank the Greek consul. He was more than gracious to us and everybody there. And we got to meet Mev Kaplinsky, which was really fun because he was great. And they had some good speakers, and it was just a delightful evening, and I want to thank them for that.
It was a really nice event, yeah. It was a really nice event.
Yeah, it was wonderful, yeah.
Okay. Are we good?
All right. Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Okay.